Hey folks, welcome to the channel. In today's build, we're going to make a new kind of Damascus. I'm calling it Wave Damascus. The first thing we're going to do is make a new die so we can get this Damascus made. Then I'm going to make some Damascus and we're going to press that die into it and see what kind of pattern we get. So join me, let's take a look. Remember, hit that like and that subscribe, and let's check this out.
Okay folks, so here's what I'm calling Wave Damascus. So you're probably familiar with ladder pattern, which just kind of is bars down the billet. What I want to create is something like this. So I'm not going to actually try to use a grinder and grind these in. I'm going to make a die that I can press this pattern in from the top and the bottom, and then grind away the high spots. So there's going to be a lot of work on the mill today to make these dies, and then we're going to try to make some Wave Damascus. So for our Wave Damascus, what I did was take some graph paper, draw this out so that I could make these two dies in one piece. I have to put them in a rectangle because I need to be able to do X and Y. I can't do it like this. So do it like this, and then I'll just cut off the excess and split these. Here it is after the milling. It turned out really well. There's a couple little tiny mistakes like here, but it turns out that's actually on the edge, so it's going to get cut off anyway. So curious, when I put this on a die, is this thing going to deform when I press metal on it, and am I going to lose all these edges? So that's something I'm curious about. But hey, we don't know until we try. Let's cut it out. Well, here they are all cut up, so ready to be made into dies. Before I go through the process of mounting them, putting them on dies, making sure they fit, what I'm going to do is just see if these are going to work. So I'm going to take one of these, just sit it on top of my flat die. I just got this piece of mild steel. I'm going to heat this up. I'll form it a little bit. And then I'm going to put it in the die, squish it in the press, and just see if it's going to fill this and how much the die deforms to see if this was even worth the trouble. So let's go do that. Well, I'm declaring that a success. It was hard not having these attached to dies, and they move around a lot, so it's hard to place these things. And you can see I screwed it up in the last heat. I crisscrossed them accidentally, but with some practice, I definitely think I could get these even. especially if they're attached. So I think it'll work.
Time to start building some Damascus. I took 16 layers of 1/8 inch 1080 and 15 layers of 0.049 inch 15N20 for a stack of 31. I soaked it in some kerosene and now into the forge. I thought in this video I would talk a little bit more about my process for Damascus. So after soaking in kerosene, I'll bring the billet up to a red temperature, hot enough so that I can put some flux on it and it will melt. Then back into the forge and I'll bring it up to forge welding temperatures. Then I'll take it to the press, do some light presses on it just to set the weld. Then reflux it back in the forge, and I'll repeat that 2 more times. I really want to make sure that I get a good forge weld before I start getting aggressive with the press. I've cut the ends off and cut this into 3 to get ready for a restack. I like to use the stone wheel on my variable speed grinder to take the scale off, and then off to the grinder to grind it smooth for the restack. I like to put some tack welds at the seams between the layers. When I did it this time, I forgot to turn the gas on. That's why it looks really sparky. Just like before, I'm heating it, fluxing it, forge welding it, and squishing it out. I decided for this Damascus I was going to do crushed W's before I put in the wave Damascus, just for some extra action in the pattern. The first step for crushed W's is first to make C's. To do that, you square up your normal billet, and then you forge in the corners using squaring dies. And then you rotate it 90 degrees and then squish it down, and that gives you your C's. Once you cut and restack your C's, that will give you your crushed W's. I didn't show this on the other welds, but I do like to take the stack to the grinder and grind off the welds, just to make sure I don't get any inclusions of mild steel in the billet. This is our final restack, and we end up with 372 layers.
Well, folks, I didn't video it, but I did a first attempt at forging this out on the pattern. You can see I've put it on dies. I wasn't very successful. And here's the problem. When you hold this on the die, it's really hard to get it back in the same position. And even if you mark it, because visually what happens is when these dies are offset. So when it comes down, you see a mark on the top. I think your eye visually tries to match up the markings on the top with this marking. But it's reversed because these are offset. So I think it messes with your head. So what I'm going to do is clamp a little guide here so that I can take the bar, it'll hit the guide, so I'll know I'm exactly in the right spot every time. So that should help me a lot, and then all I have to do is look at how far I've gone and put it in the next spot. So that's what I'm going to try. The piece that was here was about that long. It kind of worked, but then I kind of squished it and wrecked the pattern. I ended up just grinding that down, making a blade out of it. Stay tuned to the end of the video and you'll see what I do with that. But let's give this another shot. So there we have it, folks. I think it worked. On the very last press, I didn't get it quite right, and I messed up. Ooh, it's hot. I messed up that piece right there, but I think that's fine. I don't think it's going to mess it up too bad. I think I got a pretty good depth in the pattern. So now I'm going to let this thing cool down. I'm going to take the angle grinder, take all of the heavy ridges off of it, and then we will grind it. I think I'm going to need to flatten it. I got a bit of a wonky warp in it, but that's fine. I'll take it off with the angle grinder. I'll probably put it back in the forge, heat it up just to kind of level it out. Or maybe I'll do that now, just to flatten it out a bit. But I don't want to press, I'm not going to actually, because I don't want to press down these ridges. Okay, next step, angle grinder. So I've ground off the high spots. I took it down to kind of 400, and now is the moment of truth. Let's see if it was worth it. Here we are, folks. Here's the final reveal. I think it turned out pretty cool. Lots of little zigzaggy patterns in here. I'm wondering what it would have looked like if I didn't do the crushed W's, but things like this here I think looks really cool.
Thanks for joining me, folks. I had a really good time on this build. I think it turned out great. The more I look at it, the more cool patterns I see in it. So I'm excited to make this into a knife. What do you think I should make with this? Put it down in the comments, and I really haven't decided yet. So let me know what you guys want. What do you think I should build? Lastly, remember that piece of Damascus that came off the end of that billet that I mentioned? I really just kind of got the crushed W pattern out of it because I took the layer off it, but this guy came out of that build. So this is just a small chef knife. It's got a really cool pattern, African blackwood handle, the same piece of Damascus for the bolster. So this is going to go to a lucky viewer, and that viewer is David Lafferty. So David, if you're watching this, put a comment down below. I'll get in contact with you, and you are the lucky recipient of this knife. So I'll get in contact with you and get this sent out to you. Thanks, folks, and remember, like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.